Today our topic is what is function. So function is a mini program inside your program. Okay, so we have this program and it is block of code that run when you call it. All right, and let's say I have this function, and if I do not call this function, it's a block of code. I'm not calling this function, it will not perform any functionality. All right, and why we need function? It provide us reusability. We will look at reusability in a few minutes, but so the main idea is why we need functions. They provide us reusability. All right, and the keyword we use to define functions in Python programming, we use def keyword. So def is a keyword and the name of the method. All right, so let's have a function. So def is a keyword, then the name of your method. Method or function, both can be used in programming languages to define this block of code. All right, so name of function, and then opening parentheses, closing parentheses. Opening and closing parentheses takes some time parameters, but this function is not taking any parameter at this point. So opening parentheses, closing parentheses, and the semicolon, and then the fourth space is here, and that could be your statements. Could be any number of statements you have here. All right, so that's the function I have just defined, and this is what I'm saying. It is a mini program inside your program, and it only runs when you call it. All right, so I defined this block of code, and it's not performing any functionality at this point. So if I call this function, so how can we call this function? We need to type exact the same name, then opening and closing parentheses. This is the way of calling functions in Python and other languages as well. All right, so if I call this, it will print statement. All right, so this is calling in Python. All right, so we have a very basic method that name is name of the functions, and the keyword we use to define method is def, and could be any number of statements. Let's say I have this statement, I can put another statement here. Let's say statement 1, and then I can have another statement, print statement. Statement could be from n number of statements I can have. Now the second thing I'm saying, that it provide us reusability, right? So you see, now I defining a function with 3 statements inside it, and and where I call this function, it will print 3 times the same thing. And let's say I call this function one more time, and it will print these 3 statements one more time. All right, and let's say I have a loop outside for, let's say, I in range, and I call this function, let's say, 5 times. So what will happen? It will call the same function 5 times. Okay, so what is the reusability here? So that means I can make changes here. So it will perform changes in almost all area where I call this method. Okay, so let's say instead of saying this statements, and I can say in first statement, good morning, good morning, uh, good morning, and in the second statement I say, today is a lovely day, let's say, and let's say the third statement is, I am very happy today. Okay, it's providing reusability here. So I'm changing one block of code, and it will perform the same execution almost all cells where I call this method or a function. All right, so if I run this one, so now I change this area, you will see the functionality. You change the functionality over there. And reusability means that I call this function 5 times, it performing the same functionality. And in case if I need to write these 3 statements 5 times, let's say here 5 times, what I need to do, I need to print these 5 statements one time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. All right, so that's the reusability we have. We will look at reusability in a few more minutes when we look at some more real methods. All right, so I can change this to, like, say, make it 15 times, so it will print this method now 15 times. All right, but anyway, now let's look at few more nice methods. So that's an idea of functions. So we define a few statements or a few functionality in a mini program inside a Python program, and it only runs when you call it. So the def is the keyword to define a method, and could be any name you want to have your method. So this method is not taking any arguments, it's without any arguments, and it has three statements. And this is four spaces, this is a one tab space, this is a block of in Python we use four tab spaces to have a block. If I move this space from here, then the compiler will raise an error saying it is not a part of method. Okay, if I run this one and you see an unexpected indented block after function definition on line 1, so that means something is wrong here. All right, so you need a for space, that's mean it become a part of this method. All right, so that was a very simple method and it has three statements, but we can also make it more dynamic. But before making it more dynamic, let's make some a very simple method. Let's say this method is printing greetings. All right, greetings, and it prints let's say hi, and John. Okay, you see, again I have this block of code and it will not perform any functionality unless I call it. All right, so I'm going to call it now. So let's say greetings. So you see we don't have any input output, and if I run this one, the calling, you need to type exactly the same name of the method and opening and closing parentheses, so it will call the method. So you see hi John, and without parameters. So this is without parameters. But let's say instead of printing hi John, I like to print hi Bob. All right, so that's mean, do you think I need to make a method for Bob, and I need to put Bob here, and let's have few more cells, and now I call this method here, and and enter call this method and it will print hi Bob. You see, that's not the role of functions. So we need reusability. So that's mean we can pass arguments to this method, so to make it more dynamic. How can we pass these parameters? So we can have a name here, and also we have another parameter that could be the name. Okay, so to make it more dynamic, you see, let's say I have another name. uh, I have one more method, I need to print the same thing. So I am starting with a very basic method. Okay, so let's say instead of printing hi Bob, I can print, let's say, greeting uh, John Doe. John Doe. So that's mean I need to print hi John Doe. All right, and if I call the same method, it will perform the same thing again, but with the new name and the same greeting message. You see, it's not providing any reusability. Then why are we having these three methods here in our program? So if we are using, why not to make it dynamic? All right. So we can have parameters and arguments. Inside method, we call them parameters, and when we send value to them, these are called arguments. And to remember this one, the basic, so to make it very easy, so you can say you can send the value, and then there are placeholder in the method who receive the value. You send the value, they receive the value. All right. So let's try to make cell 33 dynamic, so that we can send values based on scenarios and we override the value based on the situations. All right, so let's say I have one parameter. So I will start with the very first with the one parameter at this point, and then I make it more dynamic, more dynamic, more dynamic. So let's say instead I have a parameter name. Okay, and it is not having any default value, so it is without any default value, right? The parameter is name, and now if I call this method, so now line 34, the cell 34 will raise an error. It will say that greeting expect you to send me one value. That means this is a placeholder to send value. all right, but I'm not sending any value. So that's mean I need to send value. What I need to send value, I need to send the name here, all right. So if I run this one, and you will see an error will pop up. So there's greeting missing one required positional argument, that is name, all right. So that's mean I need to send John here, okay. If I send John here, okay, everything is fine, but this John is not the John that we have here, because that is the default value, that is the default statement that we already have. That's mean we need to override this variable from value from here with the variable that we have here now with the parameter. Why? Because if I print name and change this to, let's say, my name, you will see now it will again print hi and Raza, but not print hi John. All right, because we are sending John here, but it's not going to print John here. So let's run this one again. You see we have John here, so that's mean we receive value, the placeholder we have name here, that receive the value, and that variable now have value John, and and this is the default statement that we have. It's just printing hi Raza. All right, so that's mean if I remove this guy from here and put a comma here and put name here and comment this line, so that's mean I made this function with one parameter but both more dynamic. So now if I send John, it will print John, and if I send, let's say I call the same method, and if I send Bob, it will print Bob, and if I send the same method and instead of sending Bob I send John Doe, it will print John Doe. So that's mean now I'm sending value, they are receiving value, and it's printing value. Okay, so that's the idea of dynamic. So it's also providing reusability. How can we have a reusability? As you see, before that we have one function here, one function here, one function here for three statements to print for different names, three different greetings. All right, so we can make it more dynamic. Okay, because you see that we have hi here, hi here, hi here. So the greeting is same, we can change this greeting as well. So for let's say we have greeting is, so let's make it in order. So we have first greeting and then name, and let's say greeting message, so that the argument is greeting message. And now if I run this one, and if I call the same method on cell 48, it will again raise an error. It will say that you are missing greeting message. So that's mean we are not sending any value to greeting message. You see the same. All right, so that's mean I can send, let's say now here hi here, and who receive the value hi. So that's mean greeting message receive the value hi. So these are in same order. Hi will be received by greeting message, John will be received by name. All right, and if I run this one, you will see again hi John, but this is the hi that we already have there, that is the default string that we already have in that statement. So that means I need to replace this one, this variable with this variable. So that's mean variable, these are the placeholder who receive value. All right, I'm just replacing those values with variables, and I let me comment this one, and now you will see hi John, and I can make it more dynamic, like I can send, let's say, good morning here. You see I'm changing the functionality of function based on scenarios, and let's say I put good evening here. Yeah, good evening. All right, you see. All right, so in this method greetings, we only have uh, we have two parameters, 1 and 2, and they don't have any default values. All right, and we call them parameters, and these are the arguments that we send to them. Hi will be received by greeting message, John will be received by the name. Okay, functions can also have default values. So let me make a function with the default value. So I have few more cells here, and I have a default value method. Let's say I have this method, and I can print inside hi, or maybe good morning, and and I can have a parameter, and that param has default value my name. All right, and if I run this one and if I call this method, you will see it will print good morning and Raza. All right, and you see good morning. So that's mean this parameter is taking default value from this method, from this parameter. All right, but I'm also not sending any value to this method. So that's mean I'm not sending any argument from here so that param can receive the value. But let's say if I call the same method and instead of having a default value Raza, I can send value, let's say a new name, John. Now it will override the default value. All right. So now you will see good morning, John. All right. So that's the idea of method. So they provide reusability. Now let's look at few more methods. Four methods. Let's say we can perform any functionality in methods, because method is it's like a block of code and it will run when you call it. And it also doesn't mean that functions can only perform printing, because I'm just printing these messages, printing messages. Okay, I have some messages here, I'm just printing messages. Functions can also evaluate expressions as well, and they can also have return values. Okay, so let's say that we have a method def and it perform functionality, add two numbers. Okay, I have two numbers. All right, and let's say I receive first number, this is the first parameter, first number, and I have a second number. All right, and I'm going to have result is first number plus second number. All right, and then what I do with this result, so that's mean I'm saying this method to give back to me the result. Okay, so that's why we use return here. So that's the thing, return result to me. All right, so this method will add two numbers and return the result of this expression back to me. All right, so we have add two numbers, and now I need to send two values. Let's say I send 10 and I send 17. The second value, the result will be 17. You will see 17 here. Oh, 27, I'm sorry. All right, now you must be thinking, what if I use default values? If I use default value, you will again get 27, because uh, what's the parameter without a default follow parameter without a default follows a parameter with the default. So that's mean I need another default value here as well. Yes, that's mean you need default values for the both parameters. That's confusing for me, I need to search this one as well. But anyway, so now we set two default values, but these values are actually overwriting the values, they are not taking the default values. But if I remove these both values from here, now they will take default value and you will get 10 into 15. Okay, and if I send only one value, let's say 12, so 12 will be received by first number, so that's mean it overrides this 5. But the second value is 10, so that's mean it take 10 and that the result will be 22. All right, that's an idea of default values. Okay, now you must be thinking, okay, why you using return here, why not to simply print here result? Okay, so that's mean I have result, it is doing the same thing, 22. But let's say I need to do further calculation on this number that I receive from function, then I won't be able to do that. Okay, because let's say I received received result this variable, that is 22. Actually it's just 10 here and then 22. Let's say I send 13, it should be 23 and 25, and I just two value receive by two values and just print out these values. Okay, because this method is now printing. Okay, can I can I add add can I add can I add anything to this method? If I print this one, and you will see there is no output, this variable has no output. If I use print method here, and it has none, because add to method is a method that is here, and inside the method we send two values and it just print out these value there. But I want, why I want this one, because I like to add two more to it. I won't be able to do that, so that's mean I need a return statement. Statement here is doing that. Okay, you did the calculation, now give result back to me, because maybe I need to multiply with 3, maybe I need to do a further calculation, I don't know, but I will do it later. Okay, so that's the difference between print statement and return statement in methods in Python. All right, not in Python, almost all programming languages. All right, so now instead of printing this value here, if I return this value, if I return this value and I run this cell, you will see this will perform 25 plus 2 into 27. So that's mean I can do further calculation, right? So that's mean function is now returning value back to us. All right, so that's the beauty here of return statement and print statement as well. All right, now let's try to send a list to a method. All right, you can send list to a method, you can send dictionary to a method, you can do whatever you want using method. So that means it's a block of code that perform the functionality, and it only does when you call it. All right, and let's say I have a list my grades. Okay, I have few grades. Let's say I got 79 in C++, I got 80 in Python, and I got, let's say, 95 in web programming. These are three grades. Now I like to make a method def print list values. Okay, so this method will receive list values as a parameter, and it will use a loop here to print these all values for items for items in where. I can't use this one here because now I have the variable here inside the method is this one list value, because this method will receive these migrants. So list values and print items. All right, and now I have these values, and I'm gonna call this method here and forward these values to this method, and you will see 79, 80, and 95. All right, and that's mean you can also send dictionaries to methods to perform calculations. So that's mean I'm sending one list here, I can have another list here, I can call the same method and it will perform the same thing, these three lines of code. All right, now again look at the reusability. Let's say I have my grades and then my another student grade. Let's say his name is John, and he has, let's say, 69 in C++, 86 in Python, and he has, let's say, 67 in web programming. Okay, and if I need to print these values, that's mean I need to use these two lines of code here again, and move this to force one tab, and items in where, in items in John, and I can like this way, and you will get 69, 86, and this one. And same for my grades. Let's say this is my grades, let's say with my name, and instead of sending my grades I send my as a. Okay, you see the reusability. So I put this block of code inside method, and it will perform the same functionality again and again when I call it. All right, all right, so now let's send dictionaries to methods. So dictionaries, So we already know dictionaries. So dictionary values, let's say it has keys and values with curly bracket, and let's say we start with let's some slogans slogans of US fast food companies. I'm just trying to make a dictionary so you can I just copied first three first four and I put inside here, move tab space, and I like to make this is the key, this is the key, this is the value that we already have separated with comma, and this is the key, this is the key, we need to separate with comma, this is the key, and this is the key, and separated comma, and the last one is subway, and we have this is the key, and we don't need comma for the last item. All right, so we have this dictionary, and I like to extract values from this dictionary. Let's say def extract values from dictionary, and semicolon, semicolon, then for key values in where we have, I need to send a parameter here, we can say that would be my dictionary value, let's say placeholder. That's a big name, but I just like to make it clear for you, so that's this variable receive the dictionary. All right, and dot items, and why we need items, because it's a tuple, and then we can print key, and we can print values from dictionary. So that's the method we have, and I call this method here, and I need to forward what I need to forward. I need to forward this dictionary's values. So the spelling is a typo error. I need to run this cell again, and I'm going to forward this dictionary values to this method. So dictionary value will be received by this variable. This is a placeholder, and this placeholder will extract items, and we have keys and values. That's we have McDonald's. I loving it. So let's make changes here. I can make changes. Let's say I put one string here. So that's the key. I like to make it sure that's the key, and I put a comma here. That's the keyword here, and I put a comma here, and that's the keyword here, key, and this is the value. All right, and if I run this one here, and you see this is the key, this is the value. All right, and we can also make a separation here, one more string inside, let's say semicolon colon. All right, so we have key value, key value, key value. All right, and yes, that's it. We can, in methods we have keys, we have values, and why we use methods, method provides us reusability. And let's say I have another dictionary with slogans of US fast food companies, and let's say I have fast let's say now, let's say tech companies, tech companies slogans, let's say powering the future, uh, tech company slogans in the USH. All right, and let's say I just take these two values from here, and I make a new dictionary. Tech dictionary is equal to these curly brackets, this one here, this is the key, this is the key, and separated with comma, key, and key, separate with comma, key, double quotes, and I don't need semicolon, and I just need to call the same method here, and it will print out the values, dictionaries, and what I need to forward, I need to forward now tech dictionary, and you got these as the keys Adobe, values are better by Adobe, then affiliate computer services, people making technology work, agri system, how communication happens. I really don't know these companies. I just copied from the Google, but the idea is that function is providing reusability to us, providing reusability to us, and it's a block of code, and it only runs when you call it. All right,